Hey guys, Morgan here. So I am coming to you with a video that was actually inspired by one of my friends. Shout out to Ison. We were having a conversation about a week ago, and that conversation inspired this video. This video that I am doing is about standalone books. Personally, I don't read very many standalone books because they frustrate me because I always want to know what happens next in the character's life. But I have come with my favorite adult standalones and my favorite YA standalones. I will say that trying to pick a YA standalone was difficult because, as many of you know, most YAs are series. But with that being said, as a caution to this video, let's begin. The first book that I am going to share, I've shared before, I've shared 1,000 times, and if you can't guess what my first standalone adult book is, then you just haven't watched my channel enough. Watch the rest of the videos after you finish this one, just a side note. Anyway, so the first book is The Color Purple by Alice Walker. The story is about Celie. You meet her as a child. She lives in Georgia at the turn of the 20th century. She lives with her father and her sister. This really is a coming of age story for Celie. You see her go from a young girl who basically was forced into a marriage to a very cruel guy to a woman who eventually finds self-confidence to leave the situation she's in. I would suggest it in any form. Every single platform this book or story has been in has been amazing, in my personal opinion. Check out The Color Purple. My next book is actually a very, very new favorite. It was a partner read with one of my friends, and I loved this book, American Gods. Oh my freaking god. I blew through this story. The main character is a young man by the name of Shadow. You meet him in jail. I think he's only in jail for the first chapter. When he gets out, he tries to go home, finds out that there's issues at home, and he gets a job by a very mysterious man who basically tells him not to ask any questions. From that, he is taken on a series of adventures dealing with gods from all around the world who have been brought to the US because when people migrated into this country, they tend to not only bring themselves or their family, they bring their beliefs. And when they bring their beliefs, their gods come with them. Actually, in the anniversary, hold on, because it's on my bookshelf right here. On the anniversary edition, which this is the book I actually read. When I finished it, I bought the hardcover. But in the anniversary edition, Neil Gaiman actually adds a bunch of chapters that he originally edited out of the first edition of the book. And one of the chapters, the main character actually talks to Jesus because Jesus was brought to the US. I believe this was actually picked up by the Sci-Fi Channel as a show. I will put the trailer to it in the description box. I'll also put the Goodreads link to this amazing story. Like I said, I blew through it. I'm waiting maybe another couple more months before I reread it because I loved it that much. The third, or if you're in Germany, the third adult book that I picked was Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. This is another book that shouldn't be that big of a surprise. I've mentioned it in a couple other videos, and just like The Color Purple, this is one of the best adult books I have ever read. The main character is a teenage boy by the name of Wade. Yes, he's a teenager, but it's actually an adult book. And Wade lives in the year 2044, and the world is completely in shambles. And one of Wade's ways of escape is a video game called Oasis by the video game maker James Holiday. And this is a virtual reality game where Wade is completely immersed in this world. He'd rather live in that world than in the world he actually lives in. But James Holiday has died, and he died, I think, maybe 10 years before the story starts. And when he died, he left a will saying that he left 3 tickets or 3 things in his world as Easter eggs, in his video game, as Easter eggs, and he has left hints on how to find these 3 tickets. And the hints are riddles that reference pop culture, but pop culture from like the 80s and early 90s, and a lot of them are old video games from that era. It is like the nerd's Bible of nerddom. I fangirled the hell out when I read this. It's a great story. It's a great journey for Wade, and I will agree that if I was in this world, I would have much rather been in the game than in the world he lived in. But like always, Ready Player One, I will always recommend people to pick up this book. Especially if you like video games, and if you like classic video games, and if you like 80s, 90s pop culture, this will definitely be the book for you. YA standalones. I just don't read a lot of YA standalones because I'm too nosy and I want to know what happens in the rest of the story. But I searched and picked 2 YA books. Book 1, Fangirl. It's funny because I just said I fangirled out with Ready Player One. But this Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell is a story about Kath. She is a college freshman. She's a twin, but her main interest in life is writing fan fiction for a Harry Potter / Twilight infused story. And the cool thing about this book is that one chapter is her, and the next chapter is actually a segment of the book that she's writing, of the fan fiction that she's writing. And for any of you that don't know what book she's writing, Rainbow Rowell actually published it, which is also a very good, I guess that would be a YA standalone. There we go, hold on, because that's right here too. See how things just work out like that? Alright. Carry On. Technically not a sequel. Technically this isn't a series. I guess you would more call it a companion to Fangirl. I will not at all go in depth about this book at all, but it is a really good piece of fiction, and Rainbow Rowell did a really good job of just capturing this world. It's funny that it's blurb by Lev Grossman, who wrote the Magicians trilogy, because I feel like after reading The Magicians, this is a much better version of what he was trying to accomplish with The Magicians. Not saying that The Magicians was a bad book. I haven't gotten on to book 2 or book 3 yet, but when it comes to doing books about magical worlds and magical schools, Carry On did a really good job. So, YA standalone, I would suggest this one, as well as Fangirl. Actually read them together, but read Fangirl first. Last book I have for you guys shouldn't be a big surprise, because I've talked about this book in other videos, but for the sake of this video, I will mention it again. Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime. The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime by Mark Harden. This book is about a teenage boy named Christopher. Christopher is autistic. Christopher lives with his father because his parents are divorced. His mom actually lives in London. Christopher is a really interesting character. He's probably one of my favorite characters from any of the books I've read, just because he has such a unique viewpoint, because he has such a challenge that he has to deal with. This book is written in Christopher's voice because he's actually written a story about a series of months or maybe a full year of his life and the things that happen. It's not a diary by any means, but it's his version of his life. There you have it. That was my list of adult standalones and YA standalones. And funny enough, just as I was telling you about one book, another book pops on the list. That was completely unexpected, by the way. But, like always, if you like my video, give me a big thumbs up. And if you want to follow me to see when I post new videos, click subscribe down here somewhere. And like always, I'll catch you guys in the next one.